All right, so I got two more principles to go over to make videos about. Gonna have to find something else to talk about afterwards, but that's okay. The second to last one: be more afraid of staying the same than you are of change. This is very important for a lot of reasons, but I think first and foremost is that things are going to change whether you like it or not, right? I mean, and another important point here is that things can change drastically overnight. I mean, just personally, I mean, you can have years go by where not a lot of stuff changes, and then, what feels like basically overnight, your life can be turned upside down. I mean, look at what happened in 2020, right? I mean, look at how much our life's changed. I mean, whether you like it or not, right? Whether you agree with what went on or not. Look at how much changed then, right? So again, like, things can happen that you're not expecting, right? So the question that then comes up is, okay, well, how do you deal with it? Well, how you deal with it, I think, is you need to become thick-skinned, right? It's a figure of saying is just be resilient, right? And I think the way you do that is put yourself in difficult situations, not just blindly, but put yourself in difficult situations as much as you can that you can control, right? Because again, if you jump in too soon, or if you jump in without being ready, you're gonna screw up. But you want to put yourself in difficult situations as often as possible that are reasonable, right? I mean, if it's your first time in the gym, you're not going to go and do 10 or 15 sets to failure, right? With drop sets, right? I mean, you're just not going to do that. Number one, because you're probably going to not be able to walk the next day, or you're going to feel the worst you've ever felt. And again, it's completely unnecessary, right? So that's how you do it, right? You just gradually just continue to expose yourself to more and more challenges. And again, this is how you become successful in business and anything, right? I mean, the people that are the most successful in business are the ones that are willing to take on the most, right? I mean, look at Elon Musk, right? Whether you like him or not. I mean, there's things I like, there's things I don't like, but he runs like 5 businesses. I mean, he doesn't directly run all of them, but he's very, very involved, right? So again, like, the more, again, like, this is just another thing for basic happiness, and is too, is just take on as much responsibility as you possibly can, right? Not as much as the next guy or Elon Musk, but take on as much as you can manage. And then when you can manage it, try to take on a little more. And then when you can manage that, try to take on a little more. That's how you become successful in your fitness as well. It's, start off slow, right? Start off as slow as you possibly can would be my recommendation. I mean, get in there and do 3 sets and get out, if that's what it takes. And then once that's reasonable, do 4, right? Do 5. Do 1 day a week, right? And when you can manage that, when you've been doing that for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, go to 2. Right? Then 3, right? So again, like, it's actually quite simple. It just takes a certain amount of discipline, right? And I think another important thing here is that you need other people to help you too. I mean, if you're around people who are lazy and not motivated, they're not driven, they're not ambitious, well, chances are you're going to be that same way, right? And that's one of the hardest things too, is a lot of times people have spent their entire life, they spent 20 or 30 years around lazy, unmotivated, unambitious people, and they've gotten so used to that the thought of branching out is terrifying, and rightfully so. I mean, if you look at evolution in history, that's why that's there, because if you did that and you were wrong, you'd end up dead. Nowadays, okay, worst case scenario, you probably end up slightly worse off than you were before, but you're not going to be dead, right? If you did that, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years ago, yeah, you'd be dead, because you'd have nowhere to go, right? So that's why that fear is there, right? But again, the way you improve is by be more afraid of staying the same than you are of change, right? And I mean, some things I do is that even when I'm fairly successful at whatever it is, I will tweak something just to see if it'll help me improve. If it doesn't, you go back to the way it was before. But sometimes even when things are going good, you should slightly tweak things, right? Because if you're already doing good, but you could do better, why would you not do that, right? So I think that that's another little trick, another little tip, per se, to help people out on that kind of stuff, right? But I mean, when you look at most people out there, their entire goal is to stay as the same as they possibly can, right? That's people's goal. Now again, something pretty well everybody, they want a nicer car or a nicer house, but are they willing to put the work in for that? No, right? No. Let's just say they got it, right? I mean, are you working even harder, right? I mean, that's just something that personally, it boggles my mind that people don't get up every day and try to be better, at least at something. And I mean, that's something that should constantly be on your mind, right? And it just kind of boggles my mind how it isn't with a lot of people, right? A lot of people, again, their entire purview is, how do I do the least I possibly can to just get by, right? That is most people's thought process, and that's something that's just the antithesis of me personally, right? I mean, I can't imagine doing that. I mean, I can't imagine doing it, but I never would, right? So again, I think that this is a very important thing, and once you've been through a lot too, this is easier. I mean, some people, honestly, I think that they might change too much, right? I mean, if you're a kid and you moved all the time growing up, or maybe you had a very unstable childhood, this is something that you probably want to keep in check, because you might be changing too much, right? I mean, you're going from dating person to person, you're constantly moving, you're moving too many jobs or this or that. But I think that there's definitely some people that are having too much change. I think that that's a fair critique, but most people don't fall into that category. So anyway, that's what I wanted to bring up today. If you liked the video, like, subscribe, comment, any feedback. Again, I love comments and stuff like that. So again, love all that, and stay tuned for more.